Hey everyone, just want to share one last friendly reminder about the Charlottesville Arts Festival that's happening on the 27th until the 29th at the IX Art Park. So it's a full weekend festival. I'm really excited. This is my first time doing a full weekend event. And on Saturday and Sunday, I will be doing demos at my table. So be sure, especially you, all you civilians out there, if you haven't set a reminder on your calendar, do it now. And spread the word. Gather up your friends and family and come on by. It's going to be a real fun weekend. Over 60 artists and vendors. We got live art experiences, live music. It's going to be a lot of fun. They're also doing a revealing of a new mural, I believe. So yeah, a lot of exciting things going on that weekend. If you live in Richmond, anywhere around Charlottesville, it's worth the trip. You know, just swing by any of those days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I will be there all weekend. So again, hope to see you there. And yeah, let's get it. Let's start the show.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am well. No complaints.
You get a 2-for-1 today.
Oh, great.
Just getting my co-pilot situated here.
Well, you two are you're a package deal, right? Is that
yes? Safe? Yes, we are. Yes, okay. We are.
That's fun. I decided to lock my cats out. They're hanging out with Mama.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah. That's all the more attention for Blanche. She'll go for that.
So yeah. Good morning, right? It's still morning there. It's 11.
Yes.
I always have to do the math in my head still, even though it's just 3 hours. But even so, I'm like, it's 2 now, so I gotta do that math. Simple math, which is difficult for me nowadays.
Well, it's the weekend. You can't be expected to do math every day.
I'll go with that. If I wasn't talking to you or anyone else, I would be beating myself up inside. I'd be like, you know. Let's get this started. Cue the music. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition to Rated G. I'm your host, G. Terado. For those of you who are new, tuning in for the first time, welcome to the show. This is a podcast for revolving generally around all types of artists and creative entrepreneurs, and even sometimes non-creative people. So just people I'm genuinely interested in and looking to just start new relationships and friendships. So if you enjoy this content, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, whether you are listening on podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify, or if you are watching on YouTube. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell if you want to keep up with all the new releases, or perhaps check out previous episodes. I've had so much great talent on this podcast so far, and it's just it's been a continuing wild ride. So again, if you enjoy, please subscribe, like, share, do all that good jazz to get this out in the algorithm, right? Everything's about algorithm, so all that good stuff. And then for those who are returning to the podcast, thank you for your continued support. I hope you've been enjoying this journey as well and learning some valuable things from all of these great talented people I've had. Just be sure to check out the show descriptions in case you'd like to continue to follow myself and my featured guests. I always provide links that lead to all of their active platforms. So be sure to check that out. And I hope you enjoy this episode. I'll be sitting down for the first time with someone I met through a mutual friend. who I had just recently met as well. So everything is like fresh has been fresh in terms of the people I've been sitting down with. And yeah, I'm really excited to have this nice extensive conversation learning about her production. She's the founder of, Pink Poodle Productions. She's also worked for other companies like Sega and Level 5 Abby, such as she's worked on the show that I actually I had to look it up because there's so many iterations of Sonic. Okay, everyone knows Sonic. She worked on the show Sonic Boom, which I didn't realize I actually would catch glimpse of when it was running. Like this was some years ago, and I was like, oh wow, shit, this is pretty cool. So anyway, please welcome for the first time, folks, Marlene Sharp.
Thank you. Thank you, Rated G.
Yeah, I'm still working on my intro, so it's just I don't know. It's so odd experience.
Necessary. You sound great.
Thanks. I'm working on it.
Yeah. You sound great.
Well, I think honestly, I think because I'm sitting with you, knowing a little bit about your background, I just felt like I'm gonna try to be. No, this is gonna be something funny here for any of my frequent listeners. G Terado is gonna try to be professional here. I'm gonna do my best to. And this is hard for me because I ramble and I'm very long-winded. Okay, so I'm gonna do my best not to curse so much, but when it slips, it's just an honest slip.
Sure. Yeah. Don't change. Don't change for me. I don't want to mess with your brand. So just be you.
It's funny you said that. We for the listeners that aren't like aware, I try to make this a regular thing now with any of my new guests. You know, I try to have an initial conversation or a FaceTime conversation and just kind of just get to know each other just a little bit, you know, kind of like, it'd be like you're going out for coffee type of situation. But being that you are in, I'm gonna get this wrong. I feel like you're not in LA anymore. Yeah. Oh, you are in LA still.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did I think San Diego? I was thinking LA.
Well, I'm in a subdivision, not a subdivision. Well, I guess it is sort of. So LA is a bunch of little places that come together to form the big Los Angeles, and I'm in a part of the San Fernando Valley called Tarzan. And I might have mentioned that when we spoke on the phone, and so it's not familiar. It's not like Santa Monica that people have heard of a lot, or Burbank. So maybe that's why you thought it was farther south or north, but I'm in the San Fernando Valley. I'm in the birthplace of Tarzan. This is where Edgar Rice Burroughs used to live. Fun fact. Okay. and he sold off parcels of his land at some point and established a post office and yada yada yada. Here we are in Tarzana.
The yada. you call me off with the yada yada because every time I hear yada yada yada, I don't know if you've watched Seinfeld, but there's an episode on the yada yada yada, and every time I hear it, I
borrowed that. Yes, I did not invent it. I wish I did.
Right? Oh, well,
but
yeah.
I steal from the best.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, man, if we've all been wise enough to coin certain phrases, that'd be great. Because I wish I had like even though like, why does it matter? But I wish I had a phrase that I was known for. You know, it'd be nice. But
you might have something. Maybe you could have like a listener poll, so people could say, "Hey, you know what, Rated G, you actually say this many times in an episode," and then you can curate from the fans what your phrase is.
yeah, I really do try to, and I get often when I'm doing solo recordings, I get like, because I'll be like, because I do try to engage the audience, especially with my social media. I put up the polls, I put the question boxes so they can answer and stuff. It's more of a struggle for me to be able to get just any feedback, because I try to be like very open about, hey, like, I do what I can to make this experience fun. So, I just try to draw something, even like, I'm like, even if you want to just talk shit on my criteria, go for it, because then at least it'll give me something to work off.
Yeah, that's
So
understandable. Sure.
I've been like, on the podcast, because well, I mean, when you're like sitting down and it kind of just, it hits you when you start realizing like, oh man, I've been putting so much work into this, and perhaps for whatever reasons the results are just not what up to par yet, right? But still, it's just, maybe I cling on to the emotion of it, but then I get like, oh man, like, what do I got to do to like grab like one or two comments on something so I can add something to the podcast experience. But it is what it is. I'm really not gonna try to make this that type of podcast where I'm complaining to my guests. G will not turn this into a therapy session, I swear.
Therapy can be very entertaining, though.
Yeah, but we're officially meeting face to face for the first time. So I wouldn't want that experience to be that, you know what I mean? I want this to be fun, because I've caught glimpses of some of you've been busy. You've been pretty busy with other appearances. So I've been trying to, I do my best to try to catch some of the content and just do my homework, essentially. But yeah, you've been quite busy, and again, like, thinking about all the hard work you're putting into. So I don't know. Like, I'm always like thinking about that. I get very internal about and you know how it is running this business, right? Especially show business. You're my first guest that I'm having here that's kind of like in that realm, show business.
Really?
Yeah, so that's why I kind of have this.
Christ.
I'm projecting. I think I'm projecting, because I'm like, all right, I'm with someone that has done production and directing and such. So, I mean, this is a great experience. Although I'm anxious, but I'm like, this could very well be a great experience for me. Trying to just get some of these values from that business aspect, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. Again, I want to make this fun, but I feel like I might get very introspective and might start, I don't know, taking a deep dive on stuff.
All right. Well, I got my bottle of water here, so I'm.
Oh, okay.
I'll be prepared to answer you in an
okay, great,
articulate way.
Yeah, and I think this will just be this will definitely be great for, again, even just any creative entrepreneur. I guess that I always assumed that was the right phrase for people that aren't artists but are doing content creating or some type of something still involving the creative space.
That sounds right. That sounds accurate.
So yeah, oh man, so many thoughts are going through my head right now, because I love Tarzan, so I kind of want to go back into Tarzan for. Are you down for that?
I didn't know anything about Tarzan until I moved here.
Okay.
And it's quite a fascinating subject. This little town is very interesting because it still has the Edgar Rice Burroughs-ness of the place. We have a little McDonald's that has a mural on the wall that tells the story of when Edgar Rice Burroughs was born and when he wrote the first story and this and that. And then in our bank, our local Wells Fargo bank has some doodads on the wall about him. And what else? The post office has like a display, and there's a cultural center, which I've only been there for flea markets. I don't know what they have on the inside, but I think there's some kind of a museum. And I was very fortunate on a number of occasions to go to the offices of Edgar Rice Burroughs Enterprises.
Mhm.
So a friend of mine used to work there, and it's a company that manages the estate of Edgar Rice Burroughs, the estate being his intellectual properties. Because you've probably noticed that every so often there's a new Tarzan movie, or there was John Carter, and this man wrote like a crazy amount of
John
stuff.
Carter. I'm sorry to cut you off, but John Carter, that's the sci-fi one, right? That's like a sci-fi. They made a film on it,
Yes.
recently.
Yes.
Like maybe
Yeah, it
5 years
was
ago.
probably in the early to mid 2000s, and it's kind of legendary because I guess it didn't really
It
align
had a
with
lot of hype for it, but it didn't meet the expectations, I think.
Yes,
But it
that's
had
right.
a lot of special effects in it. That's the thing. I don't think the complaints were towards the special effects or anything. I think it was just the story that how it was told, perhaps, right? Was that
I don't
I
know.
forget what
I
the
never
criticism was, but it just didn't do as well.
Yeah,
Great cast.
I'm not really sure because I didn't see the movie, and I'm not that familiar with the mythology of John Carter. But and I could be wrong, but I think a famous director named Andrew Stanton directed it, who's famous for like Disney Pixar movies and things like that. And so he was in fact, I think I listened to a podcast episode about this somewhere at one time, because I don't know why this information is in my head. Then again, it could be 100% wrong, and I could be thinking about something that's an entree into a true crime story that I got all mashed up in my head.
Oh yeah.
But
Sure. It's fine.
but I think that's the story. I mean, I guess we could
Yeah.
Google it while we're sitting here. But I think that the movie was very expensive. It was a Disney movie. I know Disney had a long-standing relationship with ERB Enterprises, certainly with Tarzan and everything. And then maybe the expectations were so high, and the budget probably leaked out, and people thought, "Oh wow, this is going to be the second coming of Star Wars or something like that." And it was not, and I can't believe that it was a bad movie, just given the people involved. But
yeah, well, it had a great cast. I think the person that I forget his name. See, I'm terrible with names, but I know faces very well. But he played Gambit in the Wolverine Origins movie. That actor, he's done great in other films, but it was very early, like his blow up, so it was still like an early time in his career, I guess. But Willem Dafoe was in that movie, I believe. I think he was motion captured though.
Okay, here we go. We're Googling it right now. Wikipedia, here we go. Okay, it was from 2012. Oh, I thought it was like 2001.
I knew it was somewhere in the teens.
It's 2012, yeah. And it was Andrew Stanton. Okay, I remember that right. Science fiction action film directed by Andrew Stanton, written by Andrew Stanton. Taylor Kitsch is the actor, I think, that you're referring to.
He also played the main character in Battleship with Liam Neeson. And there's Rihanna was in there. So that one had a good cast too. But yeah, again, this was like that movie, John Carter. I remember I saw some bits and pieces of it. Like I think it's just because people aren't familiar with that story. This is like during the early age of comic book movies. So,
well, let's see.
They probably were expecting like a X-Men or Marvel hype type of movie, especially being a high budget. It was with all the special effects, but yeah, it just didn't do well for some reason.
my little my companion guest here, Blanche, wants to say a few words about
Blanche
John
has
Carter,
some
because she too is a resident of Tarzana. So I'm just gonna hold her up here just in case she
she's
wants
got
to
something to
speak
say
the
too. Yeah.
but it's okay. This is very interesting. It says the film's failure has been blamed on its marketing campaign, which has been called one of the worst in movie history. Isn't that something? So okay, this is very enlightening, and now it makes me want to watch the movie, because why, like, this is terrible that here we are, you know, speculating what caused the downfall of this movie, and you know what, and we're blaming it on the creative team essentially, and maybe it wasn't them at all.
I think it's just a demographic. I think it was just the audience, like, because it was definitely like the story, like that story, John Carter. Not a lot of fans were familiar, if I recall. Like I still don't know that whole story. I don't know what it's about.
Okay, here's some tidbits. Critics, both at the time of release and today, focus on the decision to remove Princess and Mars from the title, because the original IP is called John Carter of Mars. I mean, sure, if you just, when I hear the title John Carter, I think of like Middle America, former President Jimmy Carter. Like, this could be anything. This could be a biopic. This could be, I mean, it doesn't.
So maybe promotion wise, like,
if
they're saying, hey, we'll call this John Carter, but it's like, but when we advertise it, it's gonna sound like a political project or something.
It sounds so like boring. But I guess
give off sci-fi vibes or
not at all.
Vibes.
No.
And that's unfortunate.
So so that's what. Now, of course, I'm sure that there are many things that go into making a failure of a movie, just like there are many things that go into making a hit. But this does sound like it could have misled audiences, or just not sounded interesting to a lot of people who maybe would have loved it.
It's unfortunate. But again, I think it's because that bar, in terms of maybe just that genre of film, I think the bar is set so high for any sci-fi action. Because I think I feel like that turned into a comic series too, John Carter.
Well,
I don't know.
So it started. So Edgar Rice Burroughs, when he created it, it was a okay, let's see. Okay. It says Edgar Rice Burroughs was most well known for creating the characters Tarzan and John Carter. But I think it was like graphic novels or something. Oh geez. Okay. Edgar Rice Burroughs, his Wikipedia is massive. This man wrote thousands of things, and I cannot find the stuff about John Carter. But I have been inside the bungalow, which was his actual office, and that's where his team works today. There's a small core team of people who work on licensing his characters and so forth for film and TV, and then they create new stuff, and they did a video game, and I think they've digitized a lot of the comics and graphic novels and stuff like that. I don't think he was an artist, but I think certainly Tarzan was made into comics. I have a shirt that I got when I visited there that is a comic of Tarzan. It was really cool. But unfortunately, the public can't go and visit. It's if you have a meeting there, which I've had meetings there with the Tarzan folks, and so I was able to go and see all that cool stuff. It's almost like a museum in there too. But it's not open to the public.
I love Tarzan. I mean, I was so little when they made the Tarzan films with again, I'm terrible with names. But he was, I knew him as the Highlander it's like, I think it's like Chris something.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Highlander with Sean Connery. There can only
I've
be
heard
one
of it,
Highlander.
but yeah, I'm not
Oh, oh,
familiar with the
geez.
other
I
than
know.
titles.
I know some of my friends like who watch, like he was in Mortal. All right, well he was in Mortal Kombat. Anyway, I'm getting lost with the Highlander.
So somebody who was in Highlander was also in one of the Tarzan movies. Is that right?
Yes. Thank you. So for my friend, any of my friends or familiars listening, the actor that played Raiden in the very first Mortal Kombat movie, he played Tarzan in the very early Tarzan films before he didn't even didn't even have the famous he would do like just more of a big yell, like a big roar in the film. But
Wait,
dang,
now
like,
Tarzan goes back to like
it goes
the
way
movies
back.
go back to like when God was a boy. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it's like
it's
a lot of years ago.
exactly. Man, I'm gonna try to do this one. I'm terrible at doing like research while I podcast. That's why I wish I can get to the point where I can have a producer or like a partner.
Oh yeah. To have somebody do it on the fly.
I'm not quick with it, especially when I'm like interact with people.
Oh well, that's okay. Yeah, don't let me pressure you.
No, but yeah, I did. So I remember when I was very young, because I'm the youngest out of four. So my oldest brother, who I actually told you about, who's in the video game animation, does character animation.
Mm-hmm.
He was very into it as well. Like he got me into the Tarzan, the Disney's Tarzan.
Mm-hmm.
I actually enjoyed the last Tarzan movie, The Legend of Tarzan. I actually enjoyed that movie too.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just like because it's like one of those movies that like it has Samuel L. Jackson in it, so like it had
Oh
a
well, can't go wrong there.
but like yeah, and then Skarsgård, I forget which Skarsgård there are because there's a bunch of them, but
Yeah.
like I mean, if you were to Google Legend of Tarzan, you'd know, and he got the hot bod and all that. But anyway,
Oh, okay. That narrows it down.
Actually, he's in the new movie coming out. It's like a Viking movie, I think. But I forget the name. But anyway, yeah, I love Tarzan. So no, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't the Disney movie from the original material?
Yeah, it's all from the original material. So,
Okay.
I think up until a certain point, maybe like there was a point in time where the estate wasn't actively pursuing new licenses to do new stuff. They were just basically, because I think a lot of people thought through the years that Tarzan is in the public domain, and it's not. So you can't just make a Tarzan movie or commercial or whatever. You've got to license the character. And when Disney was actively making movies about the property, they had the license to do all that. And it excluded a lot of, it covered a lot of categories. So like film, TV, probably comics, toys, what have you.
Yeah.
And but there was a period of time where the estate wasn't really, or ERB Enterprises, they weren't really actively pursuing new stuff. They were just kind of keeping watch to see if anybody was violating the copyright, and they would send them cease and desist or sue or whatever. So there wasn't, and I can't really think of what years that is, but what years that covers. But anyway, and then I don't know, it might have been Disney that really revived it in was that the 90s, the late
Probably.
90s maybe, or early 2000s.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and then Warner Brothers made that last movie, so the Disney years, Disney expired their license for all the Tarzan stuff. But it all comes from Edgar Rice Burroughs, and the the stories and novels and comics that he wrote like in the 20s and 1920s, I guess, and 30s maybe.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And he lived right here, right down the street. Well, this was his land. I'm living on a plot of land that he owned at one point.
That's it's pretty fucking awesome.
I know, and a lot of people, I had no idea. In fact, when I moved here from the other side of the hill, the west side is what we call it. And so when I moved here, I kind of rolled my eyes at the name of the town, Tarzan, because I was just like, ugh, that's somebody's idea of being like, some rich person thought they'd be all cutesy poo and name this Tarzana, I guess, after Tarzan. You know, like I just
never thought about that.
Yeah, I just thought it was somebody's lame attempt at a tribute or something. And then I think it was friends of mine who had my friend's father lived around here, and he's like, no, you need to know the history of Tarzana. And he's like, it's authentic. That's where Edgar Rice Burroughs, bought some land and expanded it and everything. And it was essentially Encino. Maybe you've heard of Encino before.
Oh, it's like Encino Man.
Yes.
I love that movie. That's another great movie. Encino.
So Tarzana was actually, so when Edgar Rice Burroughs bought the land, it was all Encino at that time, I believe. And then he established a post office here. So he got a zip code, and it was like a ranch type of deal. And then I don't know, maybe it was after he died, his relatives sold off parcels and so forth. And then but I think as soon as he established the post office, then that makes you a town. So if you want to start a town, step one, make a post office, get a zip code, and you're well on your way.
That's funny. If anyone dares to try, like, you know what, that's a great idea, I'm gonna start my own.
Why not? I bet there's a lot of unincorporated land still in this country.
Oh, yeah, I mean, not to mention all the areas that are just, what's the word I'm looking for? They're just crumbling, empty houses and empty buildings that are just all decrepit and rotting, basically. Yeah, because I watch a lot of ghost videos and paranormal investigators, and even actually, I watch compilation videos of all the popular whatever, because there are people, what's the word, they just like to explore empty buildings. There's
urban explorers or something like that.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, they just like to just explore these decrepit structures, but they often, without realizing, they catch something. Depending who's watching, whether you believe in paranormal activities or anything. I kind of do. Sometimes I'm on the fence, but I always lean towards there's got to be something coming from the other plane. You know what I mean? So anyway, not to get lost in that.
Well, I have a podcast recommendation for you.
Oh yeah.
Because if you haven't listened to it, it is I think the title is the Los Feliz Murder House. I think that's the name of the podcast. That's the name of the real place, but it's also the name of the podcast, or the Los Feliz Murder Mansion.
Oh geez.
And this is a really compelling story, and I just Googled it, and save me from this rabbit hole. Because I'm about
going back to the structures, right?
Yes,
the land, using the land. If there's a way to, I'm sure. Who am I? I caught myself there. Who am I to be like, yeah, all you got to do is this and that. I don't know. I'm just thinking. I imagine there's probably a lot going into making sure that the land itself is healthy, healthy soil and stuff, and then rebuild the structure, like, you know, just all that stuff, and turn it into a business that will drive the clients in. Like, you know, all that stuff. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Honestly, I'm really talking out of my ass at this point. But it'd be nice. I'm just saying, it'd be nice if there was like a team of people that could figure that out and be like, you know, we need to like use this space and not just let it rot and, you know, sit in its crap.
Well, check out the Los Feliz Murder Mansion podcast and Google it, the whole Los Feliz Murder Mansion, because it's about urban explorers who go to this house. It's been abandoned since the late 50s because there was as you might have guessed, a murder there. It was a doctor who I think his goal was to murder the whole family. He was an aspiring family annihilator, but he managed to kill his wife. He almost killed one of his daughters. So 3 of the kids survived, but one of them got hurt pretty badly. And then somebody else bought the house like within a couple of years of this crime happening, but no one ever moved in. So someone owned the house, but the house kind of fell into disrepair. But it was like the new people never even went in and cleaned it out, so you could look through the window and you could see like it was like Christmas time when the murders happened, so like the Christmas tree was still up. And so through the years, if you like those kinds of urban explorer stories, this is a podcast for you, because it's about the 2 women who do the podcast. They've been researching this place since like 2014.
Oh, wow.
And interviewing all these people who are urban explorers who've gone into the house through the years, and like people take stuff or see stuff, you know. And it's in Los Angeles. It's a wealthy subdivision of Los Angeles. And that's another thing that makes it so weird, because the house is this mansion in the middle of a very affluent neighborhood where celebrities live and stuff like that. And then here's this like big old haunted house that nobody has officially repaired or rescued or anything through the years. It's just it's this eyesore, I guess, kind of. I mean, it was a pretty house, but nobody, you know, was neglected all these years. So anyway, that's my bonus podcast recommendation for you and your audience.
Appreciate it. Yeah, you know,
unsolicited.
No, this is great, because I had another friend on that was I've actually had a couple people tell me some podcasts to check out that was more of that direction, because I often just listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, and it's pretty much that's all I listen to. Okay, then there's just so many different types of their show. It varies in terms of the style and whatnot. But anyway, it'd be nice to get into something on that, going towards that. I love ghosts. I love these videos because they are very intriguing. Like, whether you want to just bet it on poor technology like camera quality or whatnot, but still the ones, I don't know, they're just, some of them are like, yeah, man, maybe there might be like a something there. Because I do believe in that. Like, if you're living or owning a business on some bad land, like on a part of land that some terrible things have happened, like leading to death and murder and all that on that land, guaranteed there's gonna be some bad energy coming from that. I believe in that. There's like definite, like, don't, even if you don't call them ghosts or apparitions, like there's still like bad energy there that's gonna, like, I don't know, it just opens gateways to the other plane. See, now I'm talking out of my ass again. So I've been wanting to have conversations about ghosts for some time. So
well, this is great. I like to talk about stuff that's like not the usual stuff that I work on, which is like almost 100% nerd culture.
Well, I did want to
this is a nice breath of fresh air.
I was gonna ask you that. Jeez, you're interrupting. Sorry. I have been I was just thinking that because again, you've been busy, talking about the industry and your Pink Poodle Productions, promoting all that stuff. But I imagine it is draining. It kind of sucks, right? I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I imagine because I get that way with my stuff as well. So, I was hoping that maybe going toward because I didn't think we were going to talk about John Carter or ghosts,
Well, it's
but
all sort of
they
related,
are
I
very
guess.
fun. But if you are cool with that, that's I'm happy because I would imagine if I can bring people kind of like uh in an environment where they're not thinking about work, right?
Hmm.
Basically, it's nice to have a break from that. So if I can give that to all my guests, I'm happy to. Um, but I usually my intention is to promote you, right? Which is kind of like ironic. It's like I want to not only again like create more friendships and relationships, but of course, I'm all about promoting, just advertising people that I end up finding interesting because that's the thing, right? That's something actually I want to address. Um, in the beginning, actually, is our mutual friend. Like this would never have happened
That's
if
right.
I didn't have my sit downs with Tyler Brook.
That's right.
Um,
Thank you, Tyler. Shout
yeah,
out to
so
Tyler.
shout out to Tyler. Definitely, if you, yeah, anyone tuning in, check out Geek Talk with Tyler. Again, it's talking about all that comic books, shows, cartoons, like all that stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, if it wasn't for him, like this wouldn't be happening.
That's right.
I kind of want to talk about that a little bit
Well,
because
let's talk about it.
everything is like so fresh, right? Like even like my friendship with Tyler, like I met him through one of my fellow artist friends, Rick Man.
Okay.
Big into like he does a lot of comic book art. He does a lot of different art, but he also uh publishes his own comic called the sock. The sock. Is it the sock? I'm sorry, Rick Man,
Huh.
if I got it wrong, but it's about this superhero sock. Anyway, so that's how I met Tyler, and he wanted me on his podcast, which was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had him on mine.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, "Yeah, I'll refer you to some people." And you were the one that was interested. So,
I win. By
well,
default.
I was curious, like what did he like? How did he kind of pitch this? Like, I'm just curious because I don't know. My podcast is very yeah, it goes a lot of different directions. So,
Well, Tyler is very savvy in running his podcast as a business.
yeah.
And so I met him through a service that I subscribe to called Podcast Guests,
Mm.
podcastguests.com. So this service is essentially a database for people who want to be guests on podcasts. And I found it through just the podcasting world because I A, love podcasts. B, I work with a company that has a very robust podcast division, and I develop podcasts for them. And so I love podcasting, and so and I love to be on people's podcasts. So anyway, I found out about this service, podcastguest.com, and you can subscribe to their newsletter, and it comes out twice a week and totally for free. And you can respond if somebody has a call for guests, like, hey, I need guests for my show, and here's what my show is about, and there's a link, and then you can go and you can fill out the form and essentially pitch yourself for a show. And then so I did that for a little bit. I pitched myself for a few shows, and I got calls or requests to be on shows. So then I started investigating the service a little bit more because I had so much success with just filling out these forms. It costs a little bit. It depends on what kind of tier of membership you want, but to put your actual profile on there and have people contact you is part of their subscription service. So I did that, and that's how Tyler found me. He was looking for guests in the database for his, he uses the service, which is free. You could do that too, because it's totally free to search the database.
I may consider that. Yeah, and I guess you can sort of filter out like your type of guests that you would want to have.
Yes. Okay. It's when you put yourself on there as part of their service, you can pick 2 categories that, or I think actually maybe you could pick more if depending on the level of membership that you pay for. But I'm listed under arts and entertainment, but I mean, there's so many categories like, law and medicine and religion. And I mean, it's like 50 different categories that of types of experts that. So, I love podcast guests. I've gotten so many opportunities, and I highly recommend it for content creators as well as people who are experts who just want to be on other people's podcasts.
Interesting. Yeah, no one's ever told me about like that type of like generator. So I might look into that.
I think Tyler is involved with another one, I think. Ask him. He's very savvy about the whole inner workings of like a podcasting from the standpoint of an independent creator. I'm less plugged into that world because I work for a company, and so what I don't have to like QC episodes and load them onto platforms and things like that. I'm just like developing concepts and writing series briefs and things like that. So, but Tyler's got a very wide ranging knowledge of the whole indie podcasting business.
He definitely has great content. I tried helping him out a little bit, giving some tips, because he has a lot of great content on Spotify. But he had, I don't know, just for whatever reasons, I'm sure there's reasons, but he could definitely be promoting all those episodes he has. He's not he's not like advertisement like savvy, or no, not savvy. Maybe just I don't know. He just doesn't do it I feel would be enough, because like he's had all these guests so far, and then I think he backlogs a lot of sessions. Like he has a lot of pre-recorded episodes, that's cool. If that's his way, that's his way. And I didn't realize that, because I was like, when I did his podcast, I was under the impression that it was probably going to come out before I release a podcast with him on my show, but it was the other way around. So during my so it's kind of like doing the same thing twice, it felt like. So I'm like, I was just it was just like a bit of a curveball for me, but I had a good time with him. I just try to give him some tips to help grow his podcast, because again, he has a lot of great topics, and he's talked to a lot of people that were involved on a lot of nostalgic shows that I grew up on, being a 90s kid. So I'm terrible with names, but again, he's had people, the gentleman that worked on Gargoyles, which I love.
Yes. I was on that episode. That's my friend, Greg Weissman.
Okay.
Yes. I put them together. So I should also say that I even though none of my episodes have aired yet, I am a frequent guest of Tyler.
That is so
coming up soon. And I've been on the episode. So Greg Weissman is my friend. So I was kind of on the episode as a buffer
Uh-huh.
kind of thing, because I'm the connecting point there. So, and then I introduced him to another gentleman named Ken Weiselman,
Yeah.
who is a producer of kids and family content. You might have heard of Teletubbies or
Oh
Thomas the
yeah.
Tank Engine.
Right. He
Ken,
brought them
Ken
up. Yeah.
so Kent, so I was on that episode, and then
Okay.
I referred him to one of my colleagues who I'm working with now. Her name's Donna Ebbs. I don't know if that ever worked out. I have to check with Tyler, but Donna was really instrumental in My Little Pony, the revitalization of it in the around 2015-ish or
Yeah.
2013, whenever that was. She
Okay.
was really involved in that. And then Donna and I are working on a project together now called Young Captain Nemo. So I know Tyler was trying to work out scheduling with her. And then there's somebody else. I think we just exchanged messages today about somebody else that I'm going to try to get for his show. I'll probably be
So
on that
funny.
episode too. So I am the queen of the nerds. So I must tend to my kingdom, and this is one way that I can do it.
Yeah. I had to clarify with him because I honestly wasn't sure how well I would be on his platform, because nowadays I'm more of a just like cult classic fan, which he helped me realize. I'm like, yeah, like the stuff I'm just not that current with a lot of stuff today now, especially comic books. Like I loved comics. Again, my brother's an animator, so I kind of was following the same path. Like I got in all the cartoons and all that stuff at the time, but I'm still like really into like the 90s stuff. Like I don't really keep up too much with the new stuff today. But
well, 90s stuff is the stuff of today, don't you know?
it is, but
It's all-
I mean like all my I don't know, like I can't, like I'm not as, I'm just not as invested as a fan in that realm anymore.
Yeah.
Like because just for from just other influences I really love right now. I'm very passionate, not only on my own craft, but I've been very passionate about martial arts and comedy, because I do believe there are a lot of correlations with the rewards and the adversities that those particular paths offer. Like we all still feel the same thing, even though we're pursuing different crafts. So again, like I guess like maybe I'm just so used to being in because I don't do a lot of appearances. So I think I'm just so used to being in this, always having this, although it's still a creative space, because we get deep into the journey, really just talking about the shit that we've been through, all the hard stuff we had to like go through, getting ready for events or whatnot, or just working on particular projects. So we usually do kind of like talk about that and try to get through that, and just share it with the world, so that people that are aspiring artists or aspiring, fill in the blank, will kind of just get some insight, be like, the rewards, they always often come with the hardship. So
yeah.
and and you can apply, and then I think I don't know, I think the stuff that I like to talk about are just things that really apply to virtually anything. So again, like right now, martial arts, it is an art form, and so it is comedy. So I've been very appreciative of those forms of art as of late. Yeah, and yeah, that's just so being used to that type of conversation with other artists, and now being on his platform where it's more geek talk, right? Get deep into like cartoons and comics and comic book films and etc. But I don't find myself as like invested on show like those type of things as of late. So I just didn't think I was going to be good on his show to be able to reciprocate and just have a back and forth. But there were some I don't know. I like to think there's some interesting small debates. Like definitely on mine, we had a little. I mean, we had like small like back and forth about concepts of whatever. One I can think of was about Invader Zim, I think. But you know, I don't know. So I don't know. I'm rambling again. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh no.
Sorry.
Well, I'm sure that the folks who listen to your show are that they love that about you. That's your thing.
Yeah, but I feel like it gets to a point of like it becomes a disservice for my guests because this show is supposed to be for my guests. So that's why I get very apologetic. I'm like, damn it. So all right, let's change gears now.
Okay.
Pink Poodle Productions. You want to talk about? We're gonna have to talk about work for a little bit.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, I'll give a little speech about Pink Poodle Productions. That's my company. That is the company that I started around 2015 or 16. It basically started as a website that I could use as a portfolio for shameless self-promotion, employability. A lot of times when you're interviewing for a job, you will be or applying for jobs, they'll ask you for a website as well as a LinkedIn profile and whatnot. So I like pink and I like poodles. So hence the name was born because I wanted to think of things that I like when I say the name of my company. And so it was essentially a website portfolio until the end of 2019 when my job ended with Level 5, which was very sad. I was working for a Japanese video game company, Level 5, and they decided, so there was an office in Los Angeles and headquarters in Tokyo or Fukuoka, Japan. They decided to close all the offices that were not the Fukuoka or Tokyo offices. So our office closed and the Hong Kong office closed and the Seoul, Korea office closed. And I didn't have a job, but I did have a Pink Poodle Productions website. And so that became my job. And I was fortunate at the time to have some consulting projects on the horizon. And so I thought, well, those are the clients of Pink Poodle Productions. And so I've been working in that capacity for a while, although my most of my time, and I am a full-time employee actually of Rainshine Entertainment, where I've been a full-time employee there for about a year, but I still keep my website going because you never know. You never know in this business when things will change. So yeah, so that's a brief history of Pink Poodle Productions.
Interesting. Yeah, I was curious what, what it was that company brought. Because you did a lot of other production and director jobs. So so when you worked for Sega, that was for Sonic Boom.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was brought on board. Excuse me, I was brought on board for the second season of Sonic Boom to manage the production with Sega's interest in mind, which might sound pretty obvious that Sega would need somebody minding the store, but I am here to tell you that it was not obvious to people who worked there necessarily. And so anyway, the production had some hiccups around that time. And so myself and there were 3 other women, so we were an all women badass team minding the store for Sega. And so we came in brand new with a team that had been working together for a season prior. And they were not Sega employees. They were contractors. And so we caused quite a stir when we stormed in there for season 2. And some of the devastation exists to this day. But I thought we did a good job. We all did a good job on season 2, but sadly the franchise didn't stick around. It was super expensive and it wasn't really selling the games and the toys that it was supposed to, because whether or not you realize it, and this might be a wake-up call for some of your listeners, but 90% of all kids and family entertainment is designed to sell stuff to kids and families. And Sonic Boom was no different. It was some all the content that's ever been created for Sonic is meant to serve in place of obvious TV commercials. I mean, we had TV commercials too. There was all kinds of marketing, but the show doesn't really make the money that the merchandise makes. And so the great thing though with the TV show or a movie, there's at least a chance to recoup some money on that, because otherwise if you're just making TV commercials or billboards or YouTube videos, even, it's like a sunk cost. You and they don't necessarily age well. Like you can't put them, you can't, like once a Christmas commercial for new Sonic toys is used up, like during Christmas season of whatever year, it's not likely that you'll ever see that again. And certainly it's unlikely that someone will pay Sega money to run it anywhere. So with a TV show like Sonic Boom or Sonic X, for instance, that can have a life beyond the games that it was created around, or the toys and everything. It can go on and recoup money. It's the money generally diminishes through the years. When it's new content is when it's the most commercially viable. But it has a business plan behind it that's different than just, the hard sell of a commercial. But if the merchandise doesn't sell and it costs millions of dollars to make the TV show, it's not going to last very long if the intended purpose is not being met. And that's what happened with Sonic Boom. So but I worked on a lot of different things too. With Sonic, and even I was trying to do other stuff when I was at Sega. Like just when I went to work there, producer friends of mine came out of the woodwork wanting me to help them get the rights to various Sega franchises. So I worked really hard on putting together a deal for Total War, which is a very well-known franchise, but a lot of people don't know that Sega owns it, but they do. And I tried to help with that, and it didn't come to fruition, but I sure did work hard on it. Sonic turned 25 while I was there. So I was really involved in all the 25th birthday activities to celebrate. That's
cool. I'm actually happy that you're willing to share a lot of this stuff, because I think like fans don't realize unfortunately, I mean, good for them, I guess, but it's sometimes the experience is something, it just may not meet your expectations. Like,
and I was very fortunate to sit next to Aaron Weber, who was really, I like to call him the Sonic savant, because he kind of was Sonic the Hedgehog. He had worked for Sega he worked for Sega up until, well, he started when he was like 15, moderating fan forums, just because he was so articulate and great on all the fan forums. Sega recruited him to do it officially. And then when he was 19 and in college, Sega recruited him to go work full time. And so when I was working with them, he was like around between like 30, 32 years old. And he had been with Sega for like 15 years. So he had the longest track record of anybody, but he was one of the younger people working in the office. But I sat next to him for a year, and he is a fan. So he knows he would be involved with the Sonic community, whether or not he was working there. And so his way of communicating with the fans was authentic. And he just, it was just part of his DNA. But I observed very much of what the dialogue was and how he had to manage expectations of the fans, because he was in direct contact with them, but also with our office in Burbank, as well as the home office in Tokyo. So he had a very tough job, but he was so brilliant at it. And I learned a lot about, the importance of the fandom.
Oh, and well, yeah, especially with the first Sonic film, right? When they had the original character design for Sonic, and the fans went ballistic, and then they made those adjustments, and it's just, I mean, now, did he have say in that as well? Like, did he reciprocate based off the fans, or did he say anything before the fans noticed? Like, hey, what's up with the Sonic here?
Well, I'll tell you some behind the scenes that you probably won't hear anywhere else, but for me. But when I started to work at Sega, so the Sonic movie had been in development for a really long time, long, and it was just going at a snail's pace. And this was even before Neil Moritz, the Fast and the Furious guy, became involved with it. Well, I take that back. He was involved with it when I came on board at Sega. But Blur Studio and Jeff Fowler and Tim Miller were not involved yet. And so there was just this, and Sega was going through a lot of drama around that time too. Like, they had closed their Bay Area office, laid off a bunch of people, all these cost-cutting measures, and then moved operations down to Burbank, hired all these new people, of which I was one, and tried to do what they were doing with 100 something people with 14 of us in Burbank. So like, there was all kinds of chaos going on that clearly affected the movie, Sonic Boom, and other stuff. So fun fact, when I went to work at Sega, my friend David Uslan, whose dad is Michael Uslan, the guy behind all the Batman movies, the Uslans contacted me, and they were one of the ones inquiring about the rights to certain Sega things. And David was like, well, surely Dimitri Johnson and Dan Jevons from working on the movie, they must be in your office all the time. And I was like, no, I have no idea who that is. And he's like, well, those are my friends, and they're executive producers of the Sonic movie. And I was like, well, that's news to me, because we don't know anything about that. So David put us all together. So I became friends with Dimitri and Dan. They have a company called DJ2 Entertainment. And they were like, well, we were told at some point not to share any information with Sega, because we don't know all the behind the scenes machinations of what's going on with Sega Japan, and we didn't know how Sega Burbank fit into that, and it was just all very confusing. So I was like, well, we really all need to be talking together, because if not, this is going to be a big old mess for everybody. And so I said, you need to pay attention to our socials, because I told him about Aaron, and I said, Aaron knows the fan base, and if you guys go and do some crazy stuff to be innovative, you might inadvertently ruin the franchise.
Yeah.
These fans are really into the minutia of Sonic, and you must respect that, or else it's going to be a big old mess. So so then they did start, so Dimitri and Dan, and then Toby Asher, who was working, so the three guys were friends, and that's an interesting story too, to how Toby and Dimitri and Dan got the rights to do the movie and whatnot. But anyway, we all started talking, and they did really engage with the fan community. And at one point, Dimitri asked me, he goes, would Aaron write the script for the Sonic movie? He's like, this guy nails it every day with his memes and his, you know, conversation with the fans and stuff. And so so then I brought that up to my boss at the time. I tried to bridge the gap of like getting Aaron involved with the movie, and it took some let's see, reconnaissance work and sneaky stuff and manipulation and schmoozing and all this stuff. But finally Aaron became involved. And when Aaron became involved with the film, I know it was frustrating because it was just like there were a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but Dimitri and Dan and Toby really respected Aaron, and he was listened to. And then Sonic Team became involved, the designers who've been involved with the game since the beginning. So Izuka-san, who worked out of our office, he would end up going to meetings with Aaron. So anyway, I worked for Sega for 2.5 years, then went to level 5, and then I wasn't involved with the movie anymore. And so in that time is when that trailer came out. And I'm guessing at some point when Tim Miller and Blur Studios became involved, there were creative decisions made, because Tim Miller is a superstar. He directed the first Deadpool. He owns Blur Studios, and his longtime employee, Jeff Fowler, is the director of both of the Sonic movies. So I'm sure at some point there was a decision made to respect what Blur and those folks wanted to do with the franchise. And maybe Aaron wasn't consulted that much. And that's when the big scary teeth happened. And that, and so there was this huge, what happened? It broke the internet. Yeah. And what ended up happening was, just backpedaling a little bit. So right before I left Sega, I was working on some shorts for Sonic Mania, which was a game that I had worked on and worked on promoting it. And we were in development to do the Sonic Mania Adventures, which is a YouTube series. And so we hired a gentleman named Tyson Hess, who's very well known in the comic book community. So he has a fan base of his own because he's so good at drawing Sonic, like all the different iterations, classic Sonic being his forte. And so we had, and Tyson and Aaron were friends. And so Tyson had brought him, Aaron brought Tyson in. And so we hired him to drive the creative look of the Sonic Mania Adventures, which you can watch on YouTube, although I was not involved after anyway, you won't see my name in the credits, unfortunately, because I left, and that was a hand slap for me. But the shorts are there. They did so well, and people still love them, and they make new ones every now and then. Okay. And so when that horrible teeth trailer came out, Tyson, our artist who we engaged for the Sonic Mania shorts that had like a $0 budget, Tyson was sent to England to work with the core team to redesign Sonic, because Tyson and Tyson wouldn't have been brought in if it wasn't for Aaron. And so and P.S. Aaron wouldn't have been involved if it wasn't for me. But you will not hear that anywhere else but here. Because you won't see my name in the credits. And in fact, in the first movie, Tyson got a credit. I think he got like a storyboard supervisor credit. It was something very modest. Aaron, I don't think was credited at all, and I certainly wasn't credited at all. But in movie 2, look for Tyson's name big as daylight in the beginning of the movie, because Tyson has a co-producer credit. Now he's got a big, I mean, finally he's getting his recognition for like saving the Titanic, basically. And Aaron has an associate producer credit on the sequel. So like that was my 2 favorite moments in the sequel were the opening credits to see Tyson's name and the end credits to see Aaron's name with the producer recognition that they deserve. So there you go. You got an exclusive.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. It actually kind of builds more hype. I'm gonna be honest, I actually haven't seen the first. Is the second one out now?
Yeah.
So I've yet to seen both of them. So I want to. I just haven't gotten around to it. Also, I think it doesn't. Like I don't think I have the streaming service that they're on. Are they both on stream? Like on like Plus or something?
Let's see. I think the first one is probably on Paramount Plus, but the second one I believe is still in theaters.
Yeah.
The second one's been out for like a month, maybe.
Okay.
I think it's still in theaters.
Yeah.
But I saw it in I saw it opening day. Went to the theater because I wanted to see it on the big screen. But
yeah, of course.
I believe it's still in theaters.
Okay.
But it'll probably be Paramount Plus, because that's like Paramount's marquee franchise now. That's their golden goose. So they're
that's the one I don't have is Paramount Plus. I have to get that because I know there's other shows I wanted to check out, but they're on that service. So, but that's really cool. I mean, I'm more excited to see those films now, and also and additionally because Jim Carrey's in there.
He's amazing. He was born to play Eggman. I mean, now I say that, and I do love the voice actor Mike Pollock who plays Eggman. Yeah. He is fantastic, and he's been doing Eggman's voice for a really long time. So in a way, it is sad to see that the voice actors who've been involved with the franchise for so long didn't necessarily translate to the big screen fame and glory. But on the other hand, I think that Eggman is the role that Jim Carrey was born to play. So
I mean, being such an animated actor, that's his thing. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't like to hear it, but I mean that's his thing. All his characters were just so animated.
He's a cartoon come to life. You nailed it.
Yeah, he's a human cartoon, so I can see why they casted him. So also that's why I'm also excited to see the movies. But that's crazy. I mean, again, because I'm really bad with names, but knowing that you've been involved with these important people, that have been with the franchise from the beginning. So it's cool to hear that insight.
There's a lot of stories. Some of them not so whimsical and pleasant.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like there's, it's like everything. There's a balance. So you got I'm gonna say again, thank you for sharing basically both spectrums of, how it is in like the production and with all these big name companies and again franchises and stuff, because I'm aware you've worked on other big projects as well, but it's cool to have that shared on Rated G, because it's not always colorful rainbows, and there's some hardships, right? It's again, there's a lot of hard work involved into this great product that these fans get to enjoy. So I get like I don't want to sound all doom and gloom, but I don't know. Again, maybe like I like hearing those stories because that kind of builds the hype for the thing again, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm just speaking from my point of view, because again, I have not seen Sonic, the first one, and kind of knowing this and speaking to somebody who's pretty essential to the whole thing that went on behind the scenes, like that's pretty dope. Um, as in your name, it's just like weird because like, yeah, like your name should be involved in there too, in a credit. Like there definitely should be some credit there, but it's like, how do you convince somebody of that, right? It's like it's a weird kind of conversation, right?
It's well, credit especially is something that is it's like contraband. It's negotiated, it's very precious to people. It's almost it's treated as more valuable than gold sometimes, and it's very tricky and political. And so and I've never been willing to quit a, a project without having some other job waiting for me,
Yeah.
just because I don't feel that I'm getting believe me, I've been disrespected. That's like one of my special skills is being disrespected. And so
Taking the hits, taking the punches.
exactly. So if I were to quit every project that disrespected me, we would not be sitting here talking about things today. So now I mean, if I'm able to go from one opportunity to something else, something that's better, that's great. But I'm not just going to walk away. If somebody says, no, you can't have this credit, I still need a job. So there I sit until the next opportunity comes along, because I don't have parents or siblings in the business or secret source of income. As you can tell, I have got a hungry, a furry mouth that is very demanding. So I have to sing for my supper, and that involves accepting things that are less than ideal. And so the one bonus is that I can come on these podcasts and kind of sneak out some of the tidbits of the behind the scenes. Haven't gotten a cease and desist letter yet, so
I'll be strategic on the sound bites so that I don't tarnish your reputation.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying anything that that I know the trajectory of the Sonic movie because I have kept in touch with other people who have updated. Like, I wouldn't have known about Tyson working on the movie if I hadn't been told by other Sega employees who continued with that process after me, because I wasn't involved. So it's not a secret. If they're talking about it, then they're the ones under NDA, not me. So fair game. But then again, you never know. Sometimes business and legal affairs has a different way of looking at things. But anyway, it's not all sunshine and roses. In fact, I kind of think that the kids business and animation is even more cutthroat than live action, because most of the people who I've come across in animation and kids business, they have their eyes on live action, and they want to do the big special effects, and they want their name and their face all over. I mean, look, I'm here doing the podcast. I want the same thing. So and people will stomp all over other people to get to that next level of their career. So of course it's going to be very, very cutthroat. Your brother might know about that.
Well, he was on when he was. It was a special episode having him on because he's my brother. He's my hero. He's the reason why I'm where I am now creatively, I'll say. And even my interests too. Like, there's a lot of things that line up. It's hilarious. even though we've kind of like grown apart a little bit, over the years. But he also shared a lot of insight in terms of the different environments in video game studios, because just knowing my brother, he's I don't know, he's sometimes he's pretty ill-tempered. So I don't know, when he reads like these attitudes from these company men, it rubs him the wrong way. In his head, he's like, I forget. I'm not gonna get into it, but there was a point where he made a nice comment, and then the I forget his position or what, just one of the big guys in the company. He's like, oh yeah, he made like some snarky, comment back. And my brother in his head, again, being my brother, like if you know my brother, you would understand, but to people who don't, but in his head, he's like, it kind of triggered him. He's like, he's ready to fight. He's like, what,
man,
ready to go? But it didn't go that route. But it's just, I don't know, but I mean, it goes even deeper than that. But there were definitely a lot of hardships going from studio to studio, because he worked for Midway.
Oh wow.
EA Games. No, not Konami. I don't think Konami. Who is he working for now? Jeez, I lose track, because he's kind of been around. But again,
yeah,
too,
for artists, it's very project based.
Oh yeah. So like I can go off on a list of games that he's worked on that are like popular. Like he worked on one of the Call of Duty games. He worked on
nice,
some Star Wars games. Some of the recent ones, I forget which Star Wars game, but one of the more recent ones. So he's done a lot of these like things that, like, as a fan, like if you threw these titles out, they'll be like, oh, that's cool, because they love the show or the game. I don't know these things until he really, he'll share it on his social media because of the NDA and all that. But again, talking about like the what would be the right word? I guess just like the chemistry, like again, going back to the studio environment, like they each have like different attitudes, I guess.
Oh sure.
So, yeah, it was just really, again, like it kind of, like, again, if like it depends if anyone's listening or watching that's like aspiring to do anything like that, just know that it is a tough route. So just make sure that like this is something you love enjoying doing. And the crazy thing, right, the thing I always refer to when I bring my brother up is that being a character animator, he hasn't picked up a pencil and drawn in like years. And that blew my mind, because I'm just still thinking he still keeps up with the basics, and he doesn't. But I mean, even when he does, it's still amazing. So it's not like he loses the talent, but it just blows my mind, because I'm here like trying to still keep the discipline of doing a sketch every few days or every couple days. I would like to be able to just do something on the spot every day, but so I'm kind of like, focus on that kind of discipline, but thinking like my brother hasn't even picked up a pencil in years. So it was like a weird thing to hear. And it was, so it's I love getting into that kind of stuff with anybody. So hopefully the listeners and watchers will be able to gain some value out of this. We definitely went over the time with you. I apologize.
That's okay.
But thank you so much, Marlene, for sharing.
My pleasure.
Here. I really I really, it's so weird getting into these things, because I try to make sure I stay on path in terms of my intention. But I don't know, I kind of like what we discussed earlier. I hope this was like a refreshing sit down, because I wanted to refer to some of your appearances, because I saw some of the Tiberius show. Very interesting. I wanted to ask you about that, but you know what? You're always welcome to come back on to.
Oh, great.
I mean, basically, I say shoot the shit, but I mean, you're always welcome back on to continue promote Pink Poodle Productions, or anything you'd like to share with fans of, again, if you have like any fun insights, anything like that, you're more than welcome. Again, I love shooting the shit with people. So I hope this was like a fun, very casual, off the cuff conversation you were able to enjoy out of this.
Yes, I got to talk about my town of Tarzan, and that does not happen every day, I will tell you. So thank you for that. And talking about grown-up stuff like the Los Feliz Murder Mansion. That's a pleasure.
It's true. I will say, right? Not that I could anticipate or expect anything, but it did go in different routes that I wasn't expecting, but it was still fun. I love
it. Oh yeah.
It was fun. So I'm happy this was an equal exchange.
It was.
So before we wrap this up, would you like to just real quick for the people that are just listening, if you want to just plug in your social media, if you have any future appearances that you're going to be on that'll be going out anytime soon, anything you want to share with?
Well, as we mentioned before, Tyler Brooks' show, Geek Talk with Tyler, I've got at least 4 episodes coming up on Geek Talk with Tyler. And I think the first one will be in July. Okay. So, and I apologize, Tyler. I know you sent me the date this morning. I think it's like around July 5th or something like that. But yeah. And then as far as social media, I am a maniac on LinkedIn. So that is not probably what most of your listeners are expecting to hear, but LinkedIn has been very good to me as far as employment. So I will continue to sing their praises all day, every day. So I'm just Marlene Sharp on LinkedIn. And I'm on Facebook as me, Marlene Sharp, Twitter, Instagram. And then my website is pinkpoodleproductions.com. And yeah, I guess that's about it for now.
Awesome. Again, this was a real pleasure. I was very nervous at first.
Oh no.
I'm nervous at every show when I'm sitting down with somebody new. Yeah, it's just I guess it's just an anxiety thing. I just have like, I think
that's
earlier
natural.
I was doing a little puffing here. That's just how
I saw that.
Balance out.
I wasn't gonna mess with your process.
It's a medicine.
It's okay. It's all right.
I'm old school too. I'm very old school in that manner. So
whatever gets you through, you did it.
You're in LA, so I mean it's no shock. Right?
Not at all.
Well, thank you again. I can't wait to share this podcast. So people listening, watching, thank you for tuning in with us. I hope there were definitely gems in this podcast, so I hope you were able to enjoy those gems. And again, check out the links that I will provide, and like, share, comment, do all that good jazz. Feel free to engage, and we would love to interact with you. And spread the word. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay aware, and we will catch you on the next one. Peace out, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Cue the music. Boom, 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 boom. This is my process. This is.
Oh, okay.
Like, because I put in music and audio and stuff, post-production. So, yeah, I do these cues for myself when I review everything.
Okay. I won't mess with it. Do what you need to do.
Yeah.